What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Bleeding BNG. Quick episode today. I guess this does classify as an emergency pod, just a little bit. To give you a timestamp as I do for all of my episodes. Today is Thursday, March 6th, 2025, and that boy Adam Peters has not stopped cooking. That boy Adam Peters has not stopped cooking. If you aren't aware, the new league year starts in less than a week. Actually starts next Wednesday, but the legal tampering period starts on March 10th, which I believe is Monday. But teams do have the capability of signing some of their free agents that are set to hit the free agency market as unrestricted free agents. And that's exactly what Adam Peters and the Washington Commanders did tonight. Bringing back veteran linebacker Bobby Wagner on a one-year deal worth up to $9.5 million. The deal is worth up to $9.5 million, and I think there's $8 million guaranteed. I think Ian Rappaport reported that. So I'm assuming the up to $9.5 million has to do with incentive-based things, incentive-based stipulations, and things of that nature. And to sum up this move, quite honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't think that this was a move that was on my behalf over here, Bleeding BNG at least. I don't think that this was a move that was as expected as it was maybe in November and October, and I'm going to tell you why. While I do think that we were still the favorites to resign Bobby Wagner, because I truly believe that, he loved his experience here in his 1 year here this past season, and it kind of came into fruition with him signing that 1 year deal today. I kind of thought, with him getting those second team All-Pro accolades, with him getting that Pro Bowl alternate accolade, I didn't know if Bobby Wagner had necessarily priced himself out of the range for him to be brought back, for it to be logical, for him to be brought back to the Washington Commanders. But evidently it was, and it made a lot of sense. This is a guy for roughly over a $10 million deal for 1 year. This is a guy that at his age, he's going to take it year by year now. So I don't expect him to sign anything much longer than a 1 year deal. He signed a 1 year deal during last year's free agency period. And I think that it was crucial to bring back a guy like Bobby Wagner. One of the reasons that I say that is because while I personally don't believe that he played up to an all-pro caliber last season, even though he did get that recognition, Bobby Wagner is still a hell of a linebacker. He's still a hell of a linebacker, and I would argue that he's elite in a phone book. And what I mean by in a phone book is like he's elite in a 3 yard by 3 yard box. He's elite when he doesn't necessarily have to show the range that he might have had in 2016. With him re-upping for next year, I think he's going into his year 14, his 14th year in the NFL, and that's incredible for not only any NFL player, but an inside linebacker to say the least. But inside linebackers, if you guys have been paying attention to the landscape of the league lately, inside linebackers tend to be one of the positions that have the most turnover lately in modern NFL football. And part of the reason that is that it's so hard to play inside linebacker, off-ball linebacker in the modern NFL with things like match coverage and the RPO. It's so difficult to play. And that's why, I wasn't really too harsh on Uncle Bobby, as we call him over here at Bleeding B&G, when he started the season slow, because I know that there wasn't really a lot of options for improvement or for an upgrade, because there's not that many elite off-ball linebackers in the NFL in 2025. It's really that hard of a position to play. But when you get a guy that has the knowledge and has the cerebralness of a guy like Bobby Wagner, where he's capable to play to a Pro Bowl level like he did this past season, even though his athleticism has waned a bit, this is a guy that's a marvel, in not only NFL standards, but athletic standards overall. And as I said before, I think that this was essential that we brought Bobby Wagner back. He clear as day, set the tone for the locker room and helped accelerated this culture to what it was. If you would have told me that, we would be preaching brotherhood as much as we were during this past season in essentially year one of a rebuild with a new GM and a new head coach, and the theme of the 2024 season would be like accountability and teamwork, I would have said that, yeah, that sounds good. That's a good fairy tale. But we actually lived it. That's actually what it was. And I believe guys like Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz are the reasons why. Not only with what Dan Quinn instilled in the culture here, but guys like Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz came with that professional mindset. Both of these guys have spent over 10 years in the NFL, and they helped accelerated that culture to what it was now in March of 2025. This is a reason why I think that Zach Ertz might be another name or another signing that we will be announcing prior to the new league year. I know it was reported that there was mutual interest between the two parties of Zach Ertz and the Commanders. And yeah, another reason, another theme between both Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner is that these guys both were integral in the development of Jaden Daniels in many different ways, in a lot of different ways, respectively. And if we look at it, take a step back and look at it at a macro point of view, the most important thing that we should be doing is making sure that Jaden Daniels is as comfortable as possible, as content as possible during his tenure as a Washington Commander. Hopefully that's for the next 15 years. And signing guys like Bobby Wagner and signing guys like Zach Ertz would do it. Let me tell you why. Yeah, I don't know if you weren't paying attention, but Bobby Wagner, damn near Jaden Daniels' best friend. He's going to Wizards games with him. He's over there challenging him to one-on-one. He's over there, Jaden telling Bobby he can't read. They're over there interrupting everybody's each other's midweek press conferences. Damn near every week they got to a point at the end of the season. And these are guys that clearly are able to relate to each other, with both guys being West Coast guys, California guys. And I think that Bobby Wagner was integral in having Jaden feel as comfortable as he was during his rookie year, which helped contribute to the greatest rookie quarterbacking year of all time. Same thing with a guy like Zach Ertz. His impact and his help for Jaden Daniels came on the field, where he was a safety blanket, a chain mover, and a safety valve for Jaden Daniels. And we would be naive to say that Zach Ertz nor Bobby Wagner would have gave us the type of production that they gave us during the 2024 season if we thought that prior to that season. If you can remember the talk from last year between Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, and Austin Ekeler, was that we signed the dudes that was ready to go to the retirement home. We signed the dudes that was ready to move to Florida. That's what the talk was when we made our initial signings, because all three of those guys were signed early in the process, and all three of those guys had successful seasons. And this season ultimately culminating in Bobby Wagner signing another lucrative deal, because $10 million is a lot for an off-ball linebacker, but we do have the cap space. And as I mentioned before, off-ball linebacker is such a hard position to play that if you get a guy that can play it good, that's valuable. That's valuable. That's going to set him high in the market, just simply off of his track record. And Bobby Wagner is honestly making a case for one of the greatest off-ball linebackers of all time, if not just modern era football history. I think he's made 10, 11 straight Pro Bowls. I think that's tied him with London Fletcher. I think there was a stat that said that he had 11 or 12 straight 100 tackle seasons up there with London Fletcher and Ray Lewis as well. And I'm super excited. I'm glad to see what Bobby Wagner can contribute during the 2025 season. Is it his last year, or is he going to visit the fountain of youth again, as he did this past season? While I am glad that we brought Bobby Wagner back, I don't necessarily think that we're done addressing that off-ball linebacker position. The biggest weakness that we had, if you were paying attention to Washington football during the 2024 season, is that we couldn't stop the run and save our lives. I'm convinced that I could have been in the backfield and got 5 carries and could have rushed for about 35 yards on this defense, right? And while some of that had to do with Bobby Wagner's inability to go sideline to sideline like he once was able to, I think a lot of it had to do with the capability of, we didn't have a capable edge defender that was capable of setting an edge in the run game. If you look at a lot of our big runs that we had given up, a lot of those runs had hit the edge, And you know, while we would like for Bobby Wagner to have some more sideline to sideline speed, or some of the sideline to sideline speed that he had in early in his career, if there was a guy that was able to hold the edge and make the running back hesitate, or take a little longer simply to just get to that edge, I promise you, Bobby Wagner would have looked like a better player, and would have superseded, you know, the Pro Bowl caliber year that he did this year. Now, if we're capable of signing that edge defender, we haven't yet, but if we're capable of trading, signing, or drafting, you know, legit edge defender that's capable of setting the edge, I do think that we could get some improved play from Bobby Wagner. And anything like that at this point in his career is a plus. It is a plus. And yeah, these are some of the reasons why I'm ultimately excited about bringing Bobby back. Welcome back, Uncle Bobby. Bobby Wagner re-signed with the Commanders for the 2025 season. And I'm honestly excited to see what we have left for the rest of, you know, the offseason, from free agency to the draft. We're going to be pushing out our mock offseason episode later this week. Shit, the way that Adam Peters moving, he moving like an evil genius. I might need to push that episode out as early as possible. One of my favorite episodes to do last year, where we actually called the signings of Bobby Wagner and Jeremy Chin in that last, you know, in that video that we did last year, in our last rendition of the, you know, mock off-season episode. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for any other news that comes out regarding our Washington Commanders, because these are not our grandparents, our grandfathers Washington Redskins. They might be our grandfathers. These are not our fathers Washington Redskins that, you know, are just making signings to sign to stay relevant. This is the new age Washington Commanders who are making signings to compete for a Super Bowl. So Adam Peters realized that, and he realizes that he needs to maximize, you know, this roster while Jalen Daniels is on that rookie contract, and I think that's what he's doing. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out our Deebo Samuel live stream, go ahead and do that, where we had given our instant analysis to the Deebo Samuel trade. But Adam Peters has all hands on deck for the 2025 season. He's gearing up for a big season, and we're gearing up for an even bigger season over here at Bleeding BNG. So as always, if you're not following us on social media, what are you doing? But go ahead and do that at Bleeding BNG, BLEEDING BNG on Instagram, and BLEEDIN BNG on X. So there's only one G in our X handle. If you're listening to us on audio-only platforms such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a ranking. Please leave a review. That's how we finesse these algorithms, so that when you're searching anything Washington Commanders, Bleeding BNG is that number one content hub that pops up in your search bar. And like I said, we pushing out a lot of content because I got to keep up with Adam Peters, bro. So make sure you tapped into the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, and I'll check in on y'all on the flip side. Bobby Wagner back. I'm super excited.